Good evening. Today is Thursday, February 18th, 2016. This is the monthly meeting of the Beech Grove Redevelopment Commission. My name is Donald Webb. I would ask that our two members here introduce themselves.
Ron Moat, Vice President.
Kathy Chappell, Secretary.
One of our other members could not be here tonight, and the other two, I believe, are running late. But having said that, we are supposed to elect officers as we've been newly appointed by the City Council and the Mayor. But I would say let's wait to do that until we have all the members here. So the next thing we'll do is I'll ask for a voice approval of the minutes that Kathy has provided.
I make a motion that we accept the minutes.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Minutes are accepted, so now we'll do the bills real quick. How much were the bills? Sorry.
It's okay.
We have bills for $1,622, quite a bit less than last month's. I can't read, I'm sorry. We got the sewer bill for $750, which we get every month, and then we got Lewis and Caps for $1,614. So add in the $750, that makes it $1,622. I'd ask for a motion to approve those bills. The two bills, the sewer and Lewis and Caps, are aware.
I make a motion to approve the bills of 1622.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
As well. So the bills are approved. And then moving on, tonight we have Dr. Kaiser from the Beech Grove City Schools, the superintendent, who would like to address the RDC tonight. So I will let him go first because I'm sure he's got plenty of stuff to do as well. We'll just leave this here.
I'll leave you extras to give.
Okay.
I'm passing out to the crowd too, I guess.
Okay.
Well, again, I'm Paul Kaiser, Superintendent of Beech Grove City Schools. I just appreciate the opportunity to come here this evening. We just really appreciate the support that we received from the RDC, along with what you guys have done for the city of Beech Grove. Our streets and our community is growing every day, and the functionality and the appearance is really improving. Well, what I've given you tonight are two bills that are actually being discussed right now in the General Assembly. The first bill deals with the appointment of who's on the RDC related to the school board. And again, this is still in the discussion stage. It started in the House. Eventually, it'll end up in the Senate. But the liaisons we work with in the General Assembly tell us they think that will pass. So I'm just giving that to you as a heads up so you know. I don't know effective dates or anything like that. But it talks about that on all the RDCs there must be a school board member who has voting rights. And again, I just found that out today. I was doing some searching on the General Assembly. So the second one is one, again, we're very confident will pass. And it's Senate Bill, I believe it's 280. I left you guys all my copies there. So, but Senate Bill 280.
You're correct.
Doesn't do me a whole lot of good. I can't reprint this small, but generally speaking, you'll see who the bill is sponsored by. Senator Kinley, Brown, and Mishler, and those three are very, very influential when it comes to any bill dealing with finance. And what this bill is, it's really trying to help the circuit breaker loss that Beech Grove City Schools and many schools throughout the states are suffering. To give an example, our transportation bill is about $1 million. We net zero in transportation. We've been very, very fortunate. Our community has supported our last two referendums, which we refer to as our transportation referendum. So 100% of our transportation comes out of the referendum fund because of the circuit breaker loss. The last 3 years, we predict this year we lose almost $3 million because of the circuit breaker out of our $9 million budget. So we net about $6 million. And we're not the only, even school districts like Westfield and Noblesville, ones that have different demographics, they are still suffering in transportation. So the intent of the bill is to allow redevelopment commissions. It doesn't mandate, but it allows them to have a smooth flow of dollars, if you choose so, to give it to school corporation destined for transportation. So again, I'm providing the information, and again, as you guys look at your 17 budget, we'd love to collaborate and discuss this. And what I also put on there, and Bob Run and I have talked about this, when you read the bill, it doesn't include Marion County. And the reason is the interpretation of the General Assembly, because again, I've talked to Denny Costerison from Indiana School Business Association. They believe the law already allows redevelopment commissions in Marion County to transfer money to school corporations. Again, I'm not an attorney, but I used to teach business law, so I know a tiny bit. I'll defer to Bob Rund and other attorneys, but there seems to be legislation already in place that would allow that if that becomes the will of the redevelopment commission. Again, I'm not asking for anything at this point in time. I just want to bring to your attention what's taking place in the General Assembly and how that might affect the redevelopment commission. And I did also list some projects there that something we're really looking at. And by putting more money in transportation, it frees up money in other funds for us to do projects too, depending on how the bill goes and what might be discussed. But some of the things that we're really looking at to enhance academics and safety is trying to build 2 greenhouses. We have the second largest FFA program in the state of Indiana. Every 8th grader takes Intro to Ag. And one of the things we really want to focus on our 8th grade is to put a greenhouse in. So from seed to selling, we want to produce different things that our community could be involved in. We want our kids to grow different plants, different things like this, whether they're tomato plants, whether they're poinsettias, but we want to educate the kids on how that works. There are so many jobs that are going unfilled right now in the area of plant science. For example, Dr. Goldman, who's the head of the plant science at Purdue University, told myself and Kevin Banks, right now, if you go through Purdue's plant science undergrad, you start at $50,000 to $75,000. Your master's, you're going to be at $100,000. If you come out with your PhD, $100,000, $150,000 entry-level jobs. So from our standpoint, putting the greenhouses in will really create some job opportunities for our kids down the road. Whereas our high school greenhouse, we want that to be very research-based. We have 5 kids right now that are working with Purdue on different year-long science projects. And so that's one of our focuses. I have some other information as far as roads and things like that. We're trying to expand Butler Avenue out through the industrial park. But again, as you guys look at your budget in the future, I think there's some legal opportunities that maybe we weren't sure in the past to look how we can team together for success down the road. So again, those 2 bills are on the floor right now. As you know, they're going to switch from House to Senate and Senate to House, and then it'll go to a conference committee and they'll work out all the details. But our sources tell us pretty confident these 2 bills will pass in some form. So just to provide you some general information and just tell you how much we appreciate your support and what you guys do for the city of Beech Grove and our community. And I'm open to any questions, comments, or
You're
feedback.
going to build a greenhouse at the middle school?
Yeah, every 8th grader takes Intro to Ag, all 230 of them.
Where would that be built? I'm just trying to think.
From the gym going to the north, there's a grassy area there. It's probably the best area to do it in. And then at the high school, it would be off our current boardroom. It would be probably separated from the high school to get it away from light. But we're working right now to see what those costs might be. And so we'll see how our resources are to do it. But we think as far as the academic programs, that and an ROTC program, those are 2 heavily important for jobs and careers for our kids. I mean, if manna came out of heaven, those are 2 things I would do right now. I'd build an ROTC room at the high school, and I'd build 2 greenhouses because they impact kids immediately. It's just coming up with the resources. So just ask you to consider that as you move forward. I know a lot of people are coming asking for their hands, but we think this is going to really impact kids and even the safety of kids if we can do some road changes at our high school campus. So, but I appreciate your time.
Well, we did commit $25,000 last year, which you guys did not ask
Right.
for, and I'm pretty sure that we have no problem at least committing that much again this year, should you need it. Because it theoretically is your money from a long time ago.
Yeah.
It's nice of us to be willing to give you back your money. It sounds almost like a government pun there, but yeah. So I mean, I have no issues with working again because I think schools are as valuable as roads or sewers or anything else. And, you know, one of the things I see in different things is, you know, when a house comes open in Beech Grove for rent or something like that, it gets filled awfully quick. Why? Because people want their kids to go to decent schools. And, you know, it's an asset, and it's an asset you have to take care of. So, you know, like I say, I think we've talked with the board members, anything we can do to help, you know, we'd be happy to. You know, and a lot of it, I think, with us will depend on the greenway. We might be in search of a good grant writer, somebody to help us with that.
Well, Dr. Hammock in my office is an outstanding grant writer. She would love to work with you on that, anything. But like I said, we're just here to, you know, work together. It's a pleasure to work with Mayor Buckley and how we team together on different projects and what you do for the city. I truly believe working together, we can do great things that can have an
absolutely.
impact for generations for our kids.
Well, like I said, I just thank you for all the work you're doing, and I just keep hearing, and again, I see with the scores and everything, you know, Beech Grove's got really good schools, and, you know, given the demographics of kids that we have, it's pretty impressive how well the schools, you know, really do. Other areas that have the same type of demographics, their schools aren't even close to what we have, so, you know, it's a feather in our cap, and it's something we should all be proud of. And, you know, besides thanking you, I thank the teachers and the other people who put an awful lot of work into those schools, because it's not easy. You know?
We have great school board members that give us the flexibility and the guidance to do the things that we do. But in all seriousness, just a quick story. I teach a class in Indiana State, and I ask our students to compare our Beech Grove School Board to their school board meeting. And then I send them the link to it. And hear their comments about the professionalism and how the school board meetings are ran, and that they're all kid-centered. I've got about 10 of them. I read them already, and it's pretty enlightening. I'm going to share those with the board, but we're very, very blessed with great leadership in our community, and from you guys to Mayor Buckley and our school board and the city council, we got the right people at the helm. So, but I just appreciate your time, and I look forward to enjoying the rest of the meeting.
I have a question. Do you know when you might have ideas on the costs of some of these projects?
I tell you, we're working on the greenhouse right now. The Butler Road extension is $100,000.
Okay.
We've been working with Crossroads on that. And just to clarify that, if you know where Hornet Park is, if you just come any afternoon at 1 o'clock, they start lining up. And trying to get through our campus in the morning, it's just crazy because you have two schools. So we've been working with the mayor and talking about that. There's an easement that takes you right through there. And that way, as you came up from Hornet Park, you just go right out toward Elmwood. You have a choice of turning right, going to the Kentucky Avenue, or going up to the next block and coming out the light. It'll be a tremendous relief of traffic. That would be one of our number ones. Plus, we're in the process of doing some other things. But that, you know, we talk about safety. That's probably number one to try to get that done. Janice, do you have any other thoughts on?
Well, I was going to tell you to maybe explain to them about the traffic and safety issues you're talking about for Central and for the middle school as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Our middle school, and again, we've tried to, we are probably at the best traffic patterns we could be at those two schools, but it's just crazy. Right now, we line up traffic through the public library, we circle it in and out, and we come back up to pick up and drop off. And we had to put our buses over on Albany Street, which is not the safest place to be. So we really need a total redesign of the Central. How we do it, I don't know, because we got a big gully down there, but that's something we're looked at. We've been working with Crossroads. We're trying to redesign the middle school. Again, you know, we're backing up traffic almost all the way out to Albany. When we brought them in the other way, they were backed up all the way down this road. And even doing that, we still have parents that fly in, drop off, throw their kids out. I mean, it's really, you knock on wood that.
Have they ever thought about putting in a road, I'm going to say east of where the baseball diamonds are?
We have talked about that.
East of where? Where the baseball diamonds are. So it'd come off what, Detroit?
Detroit, yeah.
And you turn right maybe?
Well, right now, through the grant the mayor have, we have a nice big sidewalk there. But we could go down a little bit further, opposite the sidewalk, a little bit more to the east. Yeah, and putting a road in there would be a great relief. But the road we're talking about is a short road. That's $100,000. That may be a $700,000 or $800,000 project to put that road in. But it's going to take something very drastic to relieve that traffic.
Do we know if anybody ever offers grants or anything to help with safety issues like that, that maybe?
Well, the mayor's been very successful getting some pathways, but they've mainly been sidewalks. But I'm meeting with our mayor's representative actually Monday, and I can put that on the list for Mayor Hogsett. He's now meeting with the superintendents on a quarterly basis, and that, a few other topics I want to bring up with them, everything from truancy court to help get our kids to school to, just the roads around safety around schools are, and again, the mayor's done a really good job on sidewalks and some other things, but those road things are real critical for us. So, I think if we can focus on student safety, we'll get a lot of support from our community, both
Right.
redevelopment, us. If we focus our dollars there, that's a great start. So,
Do you have any idea about the cost on the greenhouse?
it depends on where you want to go. A greenhouse will run you anywhere from $150,000 to $250,000. The great thing is we're working with Dow.
Project a little cheaper.
Pardon me? No, but that's the reality of it. We've written a grant. Dr. Hammock's written a grant to Elanco on this, and we're confident they're going to help us with some of the inside furniture and things like that. We have been touring greenhouses at Lebanon and North Putt, and we've been doing that with the people at Dow. So our next step, we've had some initial discussion with our architect and our agri-science team. So now we're going to, actually Bruce By and I met tonight to talk about this. Our next step is to bring in those experts to help us with that. So it depends on what you want to do, and it could be something we could phase in too. We could put the basic shell up and add to it.
No million questions. We're working so much with Purdue. Would they ever consider do anything with us, and then we would give them credit, make sure that everybody knew it was through Purdue,
I think there's a
them
lot of
get
options on that,
students.
not just Purdue, some other people. One of our goals as a administrative team is to raise $5 million. And we think the greenhouses would be a great way, whether it's Dow, and right now Dow's in transition. They're being acquired by another large company, so I'm not sure they will, but, there might be in some local other firms that we could address, and, we can be bought with signees very easily when it comes to helping kids. So I agree. I think one of our upcoming goals is to do some capital campaign, and I think we can get some graduates and other people to donate if they can target what that might be. So that's very much on our horizon. Great questions.
Yeah, because Dow has a big agribusiness on the northwest side.
Yes.
'Cause my wife actually worked there, and they do a lot of what you're proposing to have your students learn to do.
Yep.
And I think it's an excellent idea.
They donate money right now for our case training, $25,000 a year. They give to Beech Grove City Schools to train our teachers every summer. And actually, we're training teachers from out the state at Beech Grove and Agri-Science, thanks to the sponsorship of Dow. So great community partners, not only financially, but they're on our advisory board. And like I said, they've been on our tours to look at greenhouses. The guy who's in charge of their greenhouse is right there with us. So we'll have some really good expertise when we get to that point. We feel we have the resources to do it.
Very nice.
Well, thank you. I'll be glad to come back at any point in time to talk further, and we just appreciate your support.
Well, we thank you again. Do you want Mr. Morehouse to go, or would you prefer to go, Mr. Meyer? Mr. Morehouse? Mr. Morehouse, I understand you have a proposal on the landfill.
Well, yes, I do. I've talked to Dennis about this. This is something that's been going on for quite some time. And with all the changing of the mayors before Dennis came into office, we had plans to put some parks up over there. Obviously, Beech Grove's not going to participate in that, so I was talking to Dennis about taking possession of the 18 acres back, so I'd have the full 30 acres, or 36 acres. We're going to do something, we want to do something with it this year. We've kind of ventured into looking into, those funny things, greenhouses, above ground greenhouses up there, or putting it, maybe even a solar farm on there. But the back 18 acres that we donated to Beech Grove is not serving any purpose for anything, so I'd approached Dennis about selling it back to us.
I have no issue with that whatsoever. I guess my question would be is, the city owns the land, right?
I don't know, but what I think would be reasonable would be if both bodies voted on it.
Oh, well, it'd be no different to me than the rock pile, in that the RDC was kind of the administrators of it, but then when it came time to actually sell it, the city had to, through the city council, had to vote to approve the deed of sale. And, I mean,
the title is in the city.
okay, and I mean, I have no problem with doing that. I know we'd have to go through offering the property for,
Right.
sealed bids and follow the procedure per RDC law, and it's a period of time, it has to be posted in 2 papers, and then after no bids, then we could enter in, I think, to a contract to either sell or donate, depending on how it wanted to be worded, much like the rock pile. So, I mean, I'd want to make sure we followed those steps, but before I'd ask the RDC, or I would want the RDC to spend money on doing all that, I'd want a pretty firm commitment that at the end of all that, if no one was actually bidding on that yes, you guys would be very serious about it, because it'll cost us a few $1,000s, maybe $5,000 to $7,000.
Yeah, I understand that. Dennis and I have talked pretty thoroughly about this, and it's to do something with it. The original intent, we bought the property to build a new shop on the corner. I spent $150,000 easily having the plans drawn up to put softball diamonds and football fields up there for the kids. That was a deal with Joe Wright. It all fell through the cracks. So between all the political things before Dennis got involved, basically I got burnt out on the project. So I own the front 18 acres, and the back is accessed across our property that we own now. So rather than just a property sitting idle, I've committed to do something with it. And so I brought it by Dennis, and then we just kind of sat and talked. I'm real familiar with what's got to take place. This was just to come up here tonight to talk to you guys, and so you can start thinking about it and, kicking it around as you want to.
I don't have any issues with thinking about it or even doing it. I guess I'd want to talk to our legal representation about, I guess my thing worries to me that I would seriously worry about is if we do this and you take possession of the property and then that cap gets damaged, can IDIM or whoever come back on the city of Beech Grove and the RDC? That'd be something I'd worry about, because, we spent a ton of money when we had the issue with the cap. I mean, I don't have the exact numbers, but I know we spent a lot of lawyer money trying to get the city of Indianapolis to take it, and we had to fix the cap, and that's what I worry about is, with the EPA and environmental regulations, if something like that happens, I mean, that can get real expensive and wipe things out in a hurry.
Unfortunately, Beech Grove and Indianapolis will always own that liability. Even no matter what you do, whether I donate the rest of the property to you or vice versa, unfortunately, Beech Grove and Indianapolis will always own that responsibility because they're the ones that contributed to it when it was a landfill. We came along and bought it.
Right.
And blah, 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 and our intentions was to use the top part of the back for the kids in the Beech Grove school system, so, that's still a great idea, in my idea,
Oh, I don't necessarily disagree. I mean, I
Yeah.
remember somebody talked about even a golf course or something along those lines.
Yeah.
but I guess to me, before I'd be willing to do that, we'd have to see what the purpose of the property would be, and I'd want to get sign-offs on various, environmental engineers saying that what was going to be done to it, there's no possibility or the liability or the risk to damaging the cap or possibly causing a spill from those types of activities is very minimal, because I do not want to put the city of Beech Grove at terrible liability because something happens, and, I know you won't have the resources that, none of us would have the resources that, this is a Superfund site potentially.
Oh, it always has been.
Right, and, I mean, the city of Beech Grove couldn't afford, $5 or $6 million all of a sudden to clean and fix if something tragic happened, and, I don't want to bankrupt our city because we decided to build some softball diamonds or something. I don't think it's a bad idea, but to that point, I guess, I don't have a problem with this. I'll let the other board members speak, but I definitely would want to look at what the proposal is, and it'd be something also, since I've got city council members here, I'd want to have it presented to the city council as well, because I think if Beech Grove owns the property, you guys should have a say in it and whether or not we go forward with it. So that would be honestly what I'd want, is the city council, the mayor, and us all working together on this. I'm not opposed to it, but I'm very cautious about it.
Absolutely.
Can you tell us what use you're sort of leaning towards more than anything right now? Do you have an idea? Or are you just kind of brainstorming right now?
Right now, the idea is I've got 18 acres. I'm going to do something with it. So is it easier to do something with 18 or 36?
Okay.
So I don't really have any ideas. I've thrown out some, I have some people that I've talked to. I've already had some solar people out to look at it. With Duke Energy involved, there again, that's greasing the palm of the public, I mean, the, you know, the people that will be up in the power should be, I should say. If you grease their palms, I believe Duke Energy will buy energy, you know, solar again. So that's just that's been there. I've also looked into and talked to some people that would be interested in putting above ground greenhouses up there. That's where you grow, you know, into boxes, of course. So,
Sure.
you know, I even looked into it at one time. I don't know if you've heard of it, but I've donated several cars to disabled vets.
That's nice.
And so I've even looked into with the government on what we could do to bring something in along to that. Personally, I'm not going to do anything with the property. I bought the property with one intention, and that intention's long been gone. And a lot of that was out of my hands. So the way it is now, I'm going to move forward one way or the other. So when I talked to Dennis about this, I'm like, we would be better to move forward together than apart. But I'm going to do something. So but as what, I have no idea right now. This is something I plan on trying to get done yet this year.
You're going to have a contest and have somebody
So,
send in
whatever it
ideas
takes.
and pay up for the best idea or something?
You know, I didn't make the place. You know, I was just, I got kind of drawn into a deal on it, and it is what it is.
Sure.
So they got to make something bad can be turned into something good.
Sure.
There's plenty of those projects around that's already been there and done that.
Okay.
Any other comments, questions, or observations?
No, I mean, we
Thank
all
you.
agree we want something done with it.
Yeah.
Like to,
Yeah.
I mean, you got plenty
What
of
you think
time.
people
It's
wanna
not
do?
like,
Keep us informed, and once you have a plan or something, like I say, I think it'd be a good idea for the city council, the RDC, and the mayor to get together and discuss it. I really do.
that's probably something you ought to go ahead and do. I mean, I'm just saying, you guys, we've been talking about this, find out if you're going to or you're not, because if you're not, then I know I can move my direction there.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna put a lot of energy in on an 18 acre if a 36 acre thing's gonna work out, so we need to,
I'll tell you, if you have a solid proposal for that, you know, limits the potential of environmental damage, in other words, breaking that cap or something that would expose the city to huge liability, I know I would enthusiastically encourage the board to go forward and working with you. I have no
Yeah.
issue with that.
well, whatever takes place on there, the cap that can't be touched anyway. So we're very familiar with that. We were involved with the 1,700 trucks and loads of dirt that were brought in, would put on top of that.
Right.
So, you know, I'm very familiar with the whole project. Believe me, I've done a lot of homework on that piece before I bought it, but evidently I didn't do enough on some other. So, long story short, you know,
And we're not as familiar with that, so
Oh, I
I
can-
just know when I first got onto the RDC, you know, there was issues with that cap that had gotten cracked, and, you know, we saw a lot of lawyer bills that year for that cap and dealing with it and stuff like that, so that's
Yeah.
why, you know, I know it's a potential issue, and it was one of the reasons why nothing could really be built there, so it's,
yeah.
I
With
guess where my
the,
caution comes from.
the stories fly like the wind changes. So, you know, sometimes if you ever wanted to sit and talk and I could fill you in, I'd be more than happy to. But, I mean, I'm not gonna waste a lot of energy up front. I've already wasted hours and hours with the previous mayor on this. And, like I say, I've invested at least 150 to 200,000 in it originally. So, you know, my deal now is I'm gonna do something one way or the other. I mean, I'm not getting any younger.
is there like an engineering firm or something that you could have come out and look
I've already
at
been there and
say-
done that.
And tell you what you could do, ideas of what you could do and what you couldn't do?
Been there, done that.
Okay.
I already know what can be done and what can't be done. I'm not gonna, on the small corner of it, there was some buildable property. We're not gonna build a shop there. It made no sense after we decided when we originally were gonna put the ball diamonds in.
Sure.
So when all that blew up and it just went away, the property sat and idle. And so, you know, like I say, there's somewhere, there's things that can happen there. So that's what I'm gonna commit myself this year to figure that out.
Okay.
So, you know, that's why I approached Dennis on it, said, here's my ideas. What do you think? Come over here, so here I am. So you can put your heads together and think about it and talk amongst yourselves. Dennis has my number. If you want me back, I'll be more than happy to come back.
I think somebody would like to have like a plan of if you had all that money, all that land, what you think you would do with it? Because if some
Wait.
people, everybody I think would love for you to do something with it. It's not that nobody would agree to that, but I think if they had something in their face as to what you thought you were going to do, they could envision it more and say, yeah,
That's a good idea, but
absolutely.
I'll be real honest with you, I'm not gonna do that.
Okay.
I've already generated enough energy in this project before, and it went zero, nowhere. I've already spoke my case. I've already had I've had two different solar people, companies, engineers out there.
Okay.
I've already talked to them. They're like, are you gonna have the 18 acres or are you gonna have the 36? So if it's gonna be something that can happen, I have to have a commitment to even go any farther with that idea.
So are you leaning more towards doing something with solar energy?
That depends on Duke Energy and when they would start, if they started buying the energy. But
Okay.
right now, they've got a freeze on it, and they're not doing that.
Oh, okay.
I have an inside with a very good friend of mine who's retired from IPL management. And I've sat with him, and he's went down there and talked to the people, and they're not, maybe in another year they're gonna do something. So this isn't gonna happen overnight, of course.
Sure.
It's been there forever.
Sure.
So, but at least I can start moving forward, either the 18 or the 36.
Okay.
I mean, it's gonna be, it will not be anything, I don't know what you could put up there that I'd call trashy. I'm not that kind of person, and never was. So, it's gonna be something that will improve the environment. It'll be something that'll be useful to the city.
Okay.
I think Dennis, we sat and talked long enough, and where I'm at and what I've done. And Ronnie, my brother and I we are what we are, and we're men of our words. So, we're gonna come up with something that'll be, I think, feasible for everybody.
Great.
All right?
Thank you.
Thank you.
All righty. Nice talking with you.
All right, I'll be in touch. All right.
If you'd like to speak, Mr. Mayor, we'd be more than happy to hear.
We'll always have a liability as a city to the landfill because we contributed to it. But I don't desire to be the proud owner of 18 acres of a landfill. So I think we should remove ourselves personally. And that's the recommendation I would make to the council as well.
Oh, I don't disagree at all. I have, like I say, I have no problem starting the process of whether we donate that land or he buys it for $1. I have no issues with starting that. I guess, I don't, is that what he wants us to do? I guess I got confused because I'm not sure exactly what he wants from us. If that, am
Well,
I
I
the
think
only
he
one that
wants
kind of felt that
to
way?
gain back the 18 acres that he gave us.
So he wants the 18 acres back,
Yeah.
but he doesn't necessarily want to tell us what he wants it back for. He has some ideas.
Well, I think he's limited to what he can do.
Okay.
And I'm not going to speak for Don, but I suspect he keeps bringing up the solar stuff.
I just, like I say, I don't want to spend $5,000 or $10,000 doing all this stuff, having Robert do the legal work for it. And then we get to, where we can donate this land, This RDC's done that with St. Francis and some other things where we spend hundreds of thousands of dollars and have people walk away, so, if his
understand
business
that.
dealings are confidential, but I understand that, but I would leave it up to the board members to also.
And I can appreciate the fact that he perhaps has had a bad experience with your prior administration and perhaps the prior RDC, but we are not that group. And the way we're trying to conduct business is to get a commitment from someone like him before we go through the process and the expense of donating these 18 acres back to him. And he seems to be reluctant to make that kind of definitive commitment as to what I'm going to do with those 18 acres, 36 in total, if you get them back to me. And I think he's got to meet us halfway on that. Because we're not the prior administration, we're not the prior RDC.
Right.
He may really not know what he wants to do, other than the fact that needs to do something. Who knows?
Well, then
Don't
I
know.
would say that probably it'd be a contingency. If he figures out what he wants to do, then we'll
Exactly.
let him have the land.
Once he decides what he intends
Yeah.
to do with it, with a definitive proposal, then the RDC can act upon that and incur the expenses attendant with
So can
that.
the city. Yeah, I mean,
I guess the only other plan B, I think, unless our plan is to go ahead and move forward and sell or donate that land, and he's gonna take it. I mean, is that the plan, or is that what he wants? You see what I'm saying? I don't.
Sure, I don't know if, we'll have to see, because you're gonna have to get it,
yeah, but what's the difference if you give it to him or you sell it to him for
Well, the
$1?
way, we have to go through bidding.
Technically, we can't give it to him. He's not a not-for-profit. So it's not like the
Rock pile.
Rock Pile, where it was a not-for-profit community organization where the statute allowed a donation. Now it could be for next to nothing.
Right, because we'd have to go through getting, was it 2 appraisals? We'd have to get 2 appraisals of the land, and then we'd have to list it like in the Star and the South Sider Times for like, is it 30 days?
I,
I can't
Yeah, but that's
remember
not
the legal
expensive.
statute, I don't have it in my book, but,
That's not expensive, putting it in the paper.
no, that's not expensive, but then we have to list it, and then we have a certain date set for like, say we did this, like, say the May RDC meeting would be when sealed bids would be due. If there were no sealed bids at that point, we'd say there's no interest in the property, then we could move, Mr. Morehouse would come in and say, I'll give you $1 for it. And we could then, at that point, say, okay, and the city council would approve the sale, and the land would be his.
So the expense incurred is from getting the bids? Or from
Well, yeah,
doing the
an
legal
appraisal,
work?
I imagine appraisals will cost $500 or $600 at least a piece. Okay, say more than that. I know what house appraisals are, I don't know what land.
Quite a bit more, I think. Mine was 1,400.
1,400 per appraisal?
Yes. Well, one was 900, one was 1,400.
So say 2,500 for an appraisal,
Okay.
another 1,000 for legal fees, and maybe another 500 for incidentals like posting in the paper and stuff like that. So like I say, we're looking at about say realistically, a $5,000 commitment to selling land.
But you know what, we should do it anyway. Because if you don't have it appraised, you're never gonna get rid of it. So you might as well just do it, know what the land is worth, and at least, if this doesn't work out, at least we'd have an idea from the appraisal what it's worth.
That's the bad thing, I know what that land's worth,
No, you may not wanna,
you know.
I mean, I think we should do it I think we should do it anyway.
Well, you've already authorized getting appraisals.
Right, we did that last
We
week.
did that last month.
One other step we will have to probably take, although I think a mere formality. When it was conveyed, by the city of Indianapolis, to Morehouse with the stipulation that he deed half of it to us, it was to be for park purposes. That was the stipulation. I'm sure that Mayor Hogsett, the council there, wouldn't have any objection to,
So we may have to get it approved by them as well.
may have to. At least we can talk to city legal, and they may say, no, not required, but
Robert, in January, when this first came up about somebody being interested in the landfill, was it somebody else or was it Mr. Morehouse?
it was Heartland.
No, Heartland we had before, but
Yeah.
wasn't there somebody else that we knew was interested, but we didn't know what the purpose was? Is that Mr. Morehouse?
That was Morehouse.
Okay. I just want to make sure there wasn't a third.
I'm not aware of a third or unit.
Okay. Okay.
And in terms of solar, there's a freeze on now in terms of how much alternative energy Duke and other power companies need to have in their portfolio. I can tell you if there's a Republican administration nationally, that isn't gonna be unfrozen.
Well, solar's incredibly expensive too.
Well, both solar and wind only work when they work, if they work, because of tax credits. They don't work on their own numbers.
Oh, no, I mean, I saw where the solar farm at the airport. Basically, they charge about $3.60 some a kilowatt hour, and IPL through their plants costs about $1.60. So, I mean, it's very expensive. And was it Heartland? One of the things that bugged me about them is I felt like they were coming for us to money to build it, and it's like, give us money to build this thing, and then we can charge everybody else a lot of money to use it, and that made me squirmish too.
Yeah, I don't really know.
I didn't get that impression.
They never-
Did you?
I guess they gave us a kind of a ballpark figure.
Yeah.
It was what, about $2.5 to $5 million, I think they wanted in support. Now, greenhouses, if you're talking about so-called like high hoops, that might be very compatible because they're lightweight things, you know.
My only question, what about the truck traffic coming in and out? Would that affect?
Yeah, possibly.
And that's what I worry about. Again, when you've got liability for something somebody else does, it's frightening to me. I mean, I can control what I do, but I can't control what someone else's does. And, as we all have children, we're responsible for our children. And, if your kid breaks a window, you got to pay for it. Well, they build these greenhouses and have trucks going in there, and all of a sudden that cracked, and it's $3.5 million to fix the damage that's been done. Where's that money going to come from?
Well, if the cap is disturbed by a subsequent owner, they would be responsible for repairing the cap.
But you know how that is. That's just file bankruptcy and walk away. I mean, that's what refined metals. We're getting ready to. Is it? I struggle with the name of that company.
Kinetrics.
Thank you. Kinetrics is now looking at how many years did it sit, because again, they were dumping everything there and, doing all that, and the owners just went out of business and left that mess for everybody else. And, I'm not saying Mr. Morehouse is like that, but I know the world we live in, and, I just don't want to be standing here having to explain to angry taxpayers that, we got to come up with $3.5 million to fix this, because yes, he did it, but he's walked away, and now the liability falls back to the people who put stuff in it, So that's my only concern, and I'm sure like I say, I'm sure he has a sound plan, and they can probably do it, but I just want to make sure the city's protected in all this. That's the most important thing to me. I love the idea of selling it, and I agree with Janice. I have no problem with, if she wants to make a motion to move forward with this, we move forward with this, but, before the city council would sign off on it and we'd sign off on it, I definitely want something from Mr. Morehouse saying what he's going to do, and I want to make sure that, the city's protected as much as possible from any liability of damage.
Absolutely.
Ultimately, it's the city council's decision because the title is in the city of Beech.
Right.
Sure.
Well, did you want to make that motion, Janice?
I'll make a motion to go ahead and get those appraisals done and move on with that.
We already did that.
What do you want us to make a motion on?
Mac Elmer made a motion last
That's
meeting.
already passed.
Okay, well then I guess
And
we,
you seconded it.
Yeah, I know.
okay, well
Yeah,
then
I
we
thought
don't
you
need
wanted
to
me
do
make
that,
it
then I
again.
would guess,
Oh.
Robert, if you can, go ahead with the appraisals and get everything started, and, next meeting, once we have the appraisals, I know this, I don't know the statute off the top of my head, but I've read it, so we'll start it and follow it by statute, and unlike the last time, let's make sure everything is documented and we have everything. Because the big stink about the rock pile is we were missing documentation. There was it was done, but there was some cloudiness in it. So I want to make sure that everything on this deal is documented and is very transparent. That to me is the most important thing. Again, it's important that we be very transparent.
Do we also have to get some sort of an engineer firm or whatever to say what weight, what can and can't be done there? Do we need to also have that done too, for our own benefit?
No, we don't have to. Normally, a buyer will insist on a phase 1 or phase 2 environmental report. He already knows all of that.
Okay,
I don't think he's.
I think that's already on file,
okay.
Yep.
Do we
Just
need to
wanna
have
make
that
sure.
updated because of the
and they
time?
did it last year.
Okay.
IDEM did it.
Okay. just want to make sure.
Do we have access to that report?
I think it's public record, isn't it, Bob? Wessler would have it.
Wetzel would have it.
Okay.
And it would be it should be a public record.
Yes.
Can you get a copy of that and just have it with our records as well?
I could give you the lady's contact.
That would be fine. I just want to make, again, stuff like that, I want to make sure we just have all of it.
And hopefully we can find some appraisers that don't charge an arm and a leg. We've had some school appraisals recently where appraisals, each one was about $3,000.
How much did the appraisers charge to do the land over here? Do we know? How much they charged Mary when they put in the housing area over here? Do we know how much they charged over on Churchman for those appraisals?
I don't know.
I don't know, and I'll tell you, when I was researching
We
it,
weren't on the board.
I couldn't, yeah, I went back and looked and I couldn't find what bills had been paid for it.
Well, and did they pay for it, maybe?
I
Maybe they went
don't
ahead and
know.
had it
I don't know.
appraised.
We had a couple done for Beech Grove schools, and they were in that range.
I might give you one name just in ours. The one I wouldn't use for this, because you want an accuracy. But the one gentleman, Mr. his name's Kaiser, but he's been an appraiser for years. And he's the one that charges $1,400 for our property, which I thought was pretty reasonable. And a quick turnaround, so I can give you his contact information.
There you go.
Thank you.
That's
Just
good.
a
Thanks.
starting point, then he can maybe line you up with another one.
Does he have anybody else in this group?
No,
The reason I ask that is, it doesn't say that they have to be from different firms. And sometimes you get a price break if
you can ask him. I'll send you his contact.
Yeah, and if they are the same firm, I'd want to, if that would be the case, I want to make sure that the statute doesn't say that the appraisals have to be from two different firms. I don't, okay, I did just two appraisals. I'm just making, again, I don't want somebody coming
Well,
back
you could
6
be
months from now
criticized.
saying that we're trying to
Right.
to cheat.
Yes.
I don't know, that's probably, that's a joke definitely for
Who,
this
who would
room.
ever do that?
I don't know, but there might be that one citizen that, you know, is the guardian of freedom that would keep an eye on us for that. So I want to make sure, again, we're transparent and following the law completely.
Our guardian of freedom.
Okay, I had to lighten the moment a little bit.
All right. Speaking of the refined metals, that property is, Kinetrix has put a bid on that property, and the last time I spoke with them a couple weeks ago, they're waiting sometime in March to find out if that's going to be purchased. But that is in a TIF district as well. And their intent is to use it for their staging of semis. So that's going on. We're reviving a grant that was awarded to the city back in 2010. And it's for the, how do I want to say it, Paul?
Youth center, community youth center.
It's to expand or rehab the Hornet Park Community Center to accommodate youth educational programs. So the council will have to act on it probably at their next meeting, but it's a substantial grant. And I think we're going to do some work with the school to get it ready for maybe early childhood development or something.
Dennis, was that at risk? Is that what you called it?
No, they're not necessarily. at risk.
No, not,
At-risk youth program?
it's to expand youth programs.
Okay.
You know, I do have a quick question on that. I saw a story, and it was really interesting to me, where they basically put a daycare inside a nursing home, and they found that the interaction with the children made the old people feel younger, and the young people got the attention. have we looked at possibly, because I mean, we got a wonderful senior center. Have we also looked at the possibility of trying to tie our seniors in with that as well? I mean, I'm just,
I have
we've got,
not.
I mean, we've got an aging population and, you know, nothing makes an old person happier than a little kid. And I'm just saying as part of that grant and part of that idea, I don't know if that's something as well that would be a fruitful idea or not.
I have some ideas I can share with you at a later time that we started talking to the board about that could really encompass and bring us all together into one, what's called a community recreation
Yeah.
type thing. That could really be enhanced. That would very much involve our more mature population.
That's what I'm saying, you know, that a lot of those folks too would donate their time, which again would save on cost and, you know, the interaction would just be great for the kids, I think, you know.
So anyway, that grant is being, and it's really hard to do. It's really taxing because it's a HUD grant, and you have to work with one field of the grant in Chicago, one field of it in DC. And you can't never get them to call you back. So it's been very difficult, but now it's starting to come together, and within the next month, the council will have to act on it for additional appropriation, and so that's really good for us. Anyway, I want to advise you that, and it's not etched in stone yet, but I'm 99.9999999% sure that we are going to be funded for the Greenway and for the roundabout out at Arlington and Churchman.
That's exciting.
That's very good
Yes.
news. And that's where I was
We
asking.
will know for sure May the 11th.
That's where I was asking about, because one of my thoughts was to see if the Lilly Endowment Foundation would help us with our greenway. And writing a grant and asking them and a part of the community. I mean, I look for other organizations to help fund our matching portion of that grant.
We're talking about, and I'm not going to say for sure, but the MPO is recommending that those two projects be funded fully. And that's probably about $4 million to the city.
And our match would be 20%,
20%.
about 800,000.
Yeah, but keep in mind, you're not alone in this. The city's,
Right, and that's, again, that's where I was thinking, Mr. Mayor, about the Lilly Endowment Foundation, if they'd be willing to match us maybe 50% on the 800,000 or something like that. Because I know Lilly Endowment does a
but
lot of nice things.
that's not, the 800,000 is not totally your
Right.
your part. That's the city as well, you know, so.
Well, again, if they'd help us and the city at the same time, we'd all come out winners.
I
mean, I'd be
agree.
like I said, I'd be willing to name the trail after them if they'd help us out. I mean,
That's in the works as well.
okay. I'm
But,
just saying, we need to think outside the box, but I mean, this will be such a huge benefit in attracting young people and, you know, educated people, you know.
I think, you know, Paul and I has talked about it extensively, and the Greenway, I think, changes the whole look of the city.
Oh, absolutely.
Just to echo that, our strategic plan that we presented the board almost 4 or 5 years ago, we had a trail going through the high school campus. You know, I'm just very adamant. If you look what's happening in Plainfield, Westfield, Noblesville, people are building next to the trail. They're bringing businesses in. It's a huge boost for economic development. And, you know, we've got such a great city. It's going to bring people, you know, just, you know, they're going to be out. And as soon as that spring weather, even a day like today, they're going to be out. They're going to be on it. And that's what young people want to do. We got to have them come fill the houses in Beech Grove.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think this, along with some other teaming together, it's just going to make a huge difference. The future for Beech Grove is so bright. And a lot of it can come from grants and our own creativity. So
Well, I think
we look forward to being part of it.
I think you cut down on the transients too, is that the people that come here for a year to rent or 2 years to rent and move on, when you have these trails and these amenities that other cities, as Dr. Kaiser pointed out, you get people to stay there because, you know, strategically where we're located, I mean, we're so close to everything and so convenient, but we just lack those certain amenities. And I mean, the Greenway Trail, I think the citizens, I know there's some that are opposed to it, but once it's in there, I think people will really see the value in it. And I think you'll see the value in people who live near it. Their homes will go up in value, and I think people are really going to like it. And we'll have feedback. Crossroads is doing a good job, and I mean, we'll make a first-class greenway out of this thing. And, as far as the trail goes, I know some high school kids that need service hours. I have no doubt that we can put in plantings and other things and keep that trail looking nice. So I'm very excited about it. I was getting ready to ask you about that, and I still worry about the 0.000001% that we might not get it, but I'll go with your confidence in this tonight and be happy that we are getting it.
Well, just to be perfectly honest with you, about 3 weeks ago, the MPO put out their recommendation for funding for fiscal year 2020, 2021, and it had those two projects on it. It had the roundabout for 2020 and the Greenway for 2021. And this evening before the meeting started, I was down with Paul in my office and Ed, and I was checking my email, and I got a email from the MPO again, and it said that they're going to recommend that these two projects be funded in 2019, so they bump it up. So
We'd have to have our matching money by 2019.
19.
We'd have 3 years to get basically the 800,000. Would construction start in 19 then?
Yes. So that is, and keep in mind, they're giving us 880,000 for sidewalks next year. That we'll pay for next year as well. Not you folks, but the city.
Right.
So this is really,
That's part of the Churchman Avenue, right?
yeah, so as the Dr. Kaiser said, in 3 or 4 years, that whole area is going to look different because you'll have a trail coming out of there by Taco Bell, and
Right.
friends of community are going to be back in there. And then it heads east towards the high school, and the whole thing changes.
It'll be very exciting.
I've talked to St. Francis more in the last 2 weeks than I have in a year. And I'm not going to speak for him tonight, and I think any announcement that pertaining to the hospital is going to have to come from them. But between you and I know it's being recorded, but after yesterday, I suspect that they'll tear it down. So, which I think might be the best alternative.
You think that'll be in this year, next year?
I think they're planning it now. But it won't just happen overnight.
Right.
But I think, and that's another, you folks know that it's in a TIF district as well. So I think that I just ask that they knock it down and clean it up, and then we'll go from there. I don't know what they're going to do after that, but I think that's what they're going to do. The medical arts building will stay, and then the building on the corner will stay.
The building on the,
Alverno at 13th and Albany.
what about the facility on the west side of 17th Street? Have we heard
It's
anything on that?
totally separate. Yeah, I talked to the real estate agent the other day, and they're not ever going to have any conclusion on that building until they find out what St. Francis does. There's no interest in anybody leasing or purchasing that building.
Right, because they don't know what the hospital's going to be.
Because they don't
If
know
it
what's
goes
gonna
down,
happen.
the purpose of it could change drastically.
Yeah.
Busy month.
Terribly busy. Any questions? Any concerns? All right. Appreciate what you folks do.
Thank you,
Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, appreciate it. Anything, I guess we can open the floor if anybody has any comments or anything. Any comments from the board? Elizabeth gave me a great article confirming what the mayor had said, that the VNS is going to go in the Medical Arts Building. They had announced that to the St. Francis employees. Kathy gave a great link on basically TIFs and a study, and I've seen it, I've read a little bit of it, but Ball State did a study about TIFs and how overall they have been a drain and taken resources away from schools, police, fire, and city services. And I guess it gets back to me that, yes, TIFs have the ability to do good, but they also have the equal ability to do harm. And when me and Robert were meeting with Greenwood, we discovered, their harm was that they took almost $6 million and invested it in an insulin plant that didn't even get the floor poured. And nothing ever happened. And all that money's gone, and their city's still on the hook now, where Greenwood, unlike Beech Grove, they can still keep annexing land to cover those types of mistakes, whereas we, as many know, with Digital City, we can't annex any more land to cover our mistakes, and we're still paying for our mistakes till 2021 and 2023. So I guess in that article, to me, it's more important than ever that we be guardians of people who come to us with, hey, I got an idea to do this, and then again, I still think we should start working forward on the sign and really try to get some resolution on the idea of a sign grant for Main Street. I saw a couple businesses go out, and I've seen a couple come in, and it gets back to your worry about signage that I see there, that it's something that we probably should maybe later on this spring really take a hard look at. And then the last thing I'll throw out, in Trains Magazine, I'm a train fan, there's a real nice article on Indiana Railroad and specifically the Amtrak shops. You can probably find it online, but it was a neat little article talking about the shops. One thing that was disappointing is they didn't have very many pictures of the inside of the shops, which I'd have liked to have seen or actually tour sometime. But if anybody's watching this, it was a nice, flattering article, and Beech Grove was mentioned in it a few times. So that's really all I've got, unless somebody has something else.
Well,
Kathy?
just comment, there's been another article as a follow-up to that article challenging some of the information that was in that about the negativity of TIF districts. But also regarding the signs, there were a group of us that met last Tuesday. We're meeting again on the 23rd. Everybody's invited that wants to participate. I think it's at 11 o'clock up here. There were several business owners. Ron was there, I was there, and we're forming an organization. We're going to have to file as a 501c3 nonprofit. We have to do that in order to apply for some of the grant money that what we're looking for in order to proceed with fixing up Main Street. They talked about signage, paint colors, roofs, windows, display windows, everything we've talked about in here. Tammy is pretty much in charge. She's kind of going to take the lead on that. I'm taking some minutes at the meetings. I don't know how that happened, Dennis.
Dennis volunteered you, that's how it happened.
But anyway, it's everybody put in their.
how that happened. Her hand went up in the air.
It was a rather long meeting. It was really informative.
actually a
Everybody's
fist.
really excited about it.
Well, that's what we need.
Pretty much the Chamber of Commerce is taking the lead on that.
I think that's the only way we're
What
going to
else?
improve things.
Anything else I've left out? It was just an information gathering.
Well, like I say, I hope the public, like I said, that involvement is the only way we're going to move the city forward.
Amy Masterson was there. Of course, she's a business owner also. Her daughter lives in Starksville, Mississippi, and she had some pictures. Their Main Street, they have refurbished it in Starksville, and they actually put LED lights on the top of every single building so that at night it just really, really shines. Did you see those pictures?
Yes, yes.
Pretty cool. So they were talking about lighting, street signs, plants, decorations. It was a nice meeting. Informative.
yeah, I
So
think
if
it's-
anybody can attend, 23rd, 11 o'clock up here.
Not at
Of
11
February?
o'clock, I'm at work.
I
That's
know.
so February, right?
Correct.
So that's next Monday?
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
One more thing, It's the 20th anniversary of Don Webb's 29th birthday.
Oh, please, you
Today?
didn't need to say that. That's not very nice.
You're that old already?
I know, man, that's,
Somebody wanted to make sure I knew that.
oh boy, that's not nice. I got less than a year after tomorrow to get to 50.
Happy birthday,
Well,
Don.
thank you,
Falling
sir.
off a log.
Yeah, happy birthday.
Absolutely.
It might be. I need to take it off. Nobody needs to know how old and decrepit I am. I don't feel bad because my wrestling coach turned 71 a couple of days ago, so I got to look forward to that at least. Does anybody have anything else? If we didn't elect officers, I would like to make a motion that we wait till next month to do it. And just
Second.
till Mac's here and Tammy's here. I'd like to have everybody here for feedback.
Okay.
So I'll ask for a motion for that.
Motion to
Wait,
wait and elect officers next
okay,
meeting?
a second?
Second.
Okay, all
You
in favor?
can't second.
Aye.
Well, Ron seconded,
I've got Ron's name.
right, so.
Okay.
Okay, then we'll just postpone that till next month, and, with that, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
A meeting adjourned then, so thank you, Councilman Bell and Lamping for coming, I appreciate it. As you can see, we've got things we'll have to be working together in pretty close proximity if we can get this landfill moved. And that's a big if.